Ladies, if you can just let me know when we're ready to go. Okay. So welcome again to the All Candidates Information Night for the 2025 MBQ elections. We are so glad to see so many people in-house tonight, and equally as happy to see the people who are joining us online. I've been asked to read the rules and expectations for tonight, just so that we are all on the same page before we start. My name is Kalina Hanoski. Most of you may know me as being the vice principal at Queenie Mohawk School. I am also on a number of boards and committees throughout the community, so you may have seen me somewhere, but you may just not know who I am. I am very pleased to be able to moderate tonight's evening, and I'm looking forward to an exciting evening together where we hopefully get to learn a lot and have a positive time together. The basic objectives of Candidates Night is to ask candidates for Chief and Council questions on their platforms. This is not a forum for debate. This is not a forum for exercising a show of political support. This is not a forum for people to fight or to bring a negative mindset. The agenda for tonight is as follows. Each candidate has 3 minutes for an opening statement. After all opening statements are finished, there will be a 10-minute break. Questions will open first to those in attendance, and there will be time for pre-submitted questions. Partway through the questions, we will have a second break, and candidates will then have 1 minute each for a closing argument. Rules for the candidates. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to make their opening statement. Time will be strictly enforced. Candidates may not give up any of their whole or unused time to anyone else. Order of speakers will be drawn randomly. Candidates are not allowed to ask other candidates questions during their statements. During question period, candidates will have 2 minutes to respond to a question and 1 minute to respond to any follow-ups. Candidates will be given 1 minute for a summary statement. The moderator will intervene if the questioners make long statements. Please note that it's not that we don't care. This is just not the place for longer, in-depth conversations. Questioners are reminded that they have 1 minute to ask their question, at which point the mic will be turned off. 1 follow-up question is allowed, and questioners are asked to be clear about what candidate they want to respond to their question. Please note, and this is in bold, questioners must ask a question. So in summary, each candidate has 3 minutes to make an opening statement and to give you their introduction. When all candidates have completed their statements, we will have a break. Then after reconvening, there is an opportunity to ask candidates questions. Then each candidate will have 1 minute for a closing statement. I always love these nights because it's at these nights that we get to see how our people will represent us not only here, but at the table. So I encourage everyone present to watch and listen carefully to the behaviors, to the actions, and to the words of our candidates. Because how they represent themselves tonight is how they will represent you on the matters that matter most to you. With that, I have our list that we drew from our order, and in no particular order, we will start with the candidates for chief and then council. So Chief Donald Miracle, you may come up.
Sego sawagwego, yonyats adarot sario. Wakatahuni. My name translates to being good friend, and I'm a member of the Wolf Clan. I want to thank each and every one of you for the opportunity of serving in the office of chief for the past 32 years, and 12 years as a councillor before that. I'd like to thank all the candidates who allowed their name to stand for election. The job is great and the responsibility is great. I'd also like to thank Kalina for agreeing to be the moderator for this session. And I'd be remiss if I didn't thank our staff who work so tirelessly to help, along with council, to collect data and stuff that we need to make a strong lobby case when we go to lobby. We live in a time of much upheaval and change, and geopolitical uncertainty, inflation, food insecurity, inflationary prices on food, climate change impacts. This year we had a level 3 drought. We've lobbied to get a long-term care, as we were mandated to do, and 128 beds are now under construction. It'll be finished hopefully December the 11th and open on April the 6th with taking patients. We've submitted a proposal to the Canada Housing Infrastructure Fund for $66 million to service water lines to the 226 homes that are unserviced. There are plans underway to build a new women's shelter and convert the existing shelter to a family center. We've been working on settling land claims. The Turton Pen loss of use has been completed by a consultant, National Economic Research Association, and the loss of use is calculated to be $140 million. We're seeking reimbursement of 20 acres of land we purchased within the Culberson Tract, $1.485 million. We're waiting for Canada's response. We're asking for reimbursement of the $1.2 million purchase price for 185-acre parcel of land within Surrender 24 called Briar Fox Golf Clubs. We've submitted the proposal. We're waiting for Canada's response. That will also include loss of use. There needs to be a subdivision expansion for Sadie's Lane and Huron Brant Drive to meet the housing needs of our community. We've designed a 19-unit apartment building to be built on Flat Street. There needs to be a development plan for the use of the Culberson Tract. Bill S2 will bring many new members with the one-parent rule to our community, and we need to prepare for it. We need a new school. Our school is getting overcrowded. We need a new daycare center. We need to hold more community meetings to better educate our community about the things we're working on. And we need to develop plans for the Four Pillars Foundation to consult with the community for millions of dollars coming from there. I support Mohawk language. We need to we use our land to create greater food security for our community, a grocery store, and development along the 4-1. Those are some of the projects. Thank you.
Yeah. And now we welcome our second candidate for chief, Clifford Miracle.
Sego Skunagogo. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Think about that. 5 of the most important words you will ever hear right now. With God, nothing is impossible. Given it shall be given to you, he also says. Pressed down and shaken together and running over, will God cause men to give unto you. And with that in mind, I am giving the former CIBC Bank that is on the First Nations land to the Mohawk Nation of Tyendinaga, to you all. Economics is very important. Right now, to be in a native bank, you have to go to Cornwall Island, Six Nations, or Walpole Island. Now you will be able to do your banking on the First Nation of Tyendinaga. We have over $200 million produced yearly on Tyendinaga. Napanee has 5 banks. Belleville has 10 banks. And presently we have none. Is that leadership? Is that leadership? Bill Lomax, CEO of the First Nations Bank, was 22 years on Wall Street, New York, Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch. His passion is for indigenous prosperity in banking, cannabis, and native casinos. Recently, in a conference in Toronto, he stated, Las Vegas did in 1 year $8 billion. And First Nations whom he assisted did in 1 year over $41 billion US. Tobacco and cannabis has always been a right of indigenous Six Nations, and it will continue to be so. For hundreds of years, our people have burned tobacco to our Creator God. With a prayer, we say, and they have said, we worship you, our Creator. And if you are not our Creator, we worship Him who created you. What your present Chief and Council and Gary Miracle and his perpetrators have done on our First Nations is disgusting and criminal. Terrible. And it will be addressed. An elder, Mrs. Smart, said to me the other day in Kingston, for a person to hold the position on Tyendinaga as chief, he must have children. Don't we all look after 7 generations? Or just ourselves? You know, Ashan Bash is a very good friend of mine. Time's up. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well. Now, we are very fortunate to have 13 candidates tonight running for council. Our first lucky draw, Ogwari Brand.
Good evening, and thank you to everyone that came out tonight. I'd also like to thank Diana Brandt-Winkler and Chris Brandt for the nomination. To start, I'd like to introduce myself to those that don't know me. My name is Chase Ogwari Brandt. I've lived most of my life here in Tyendinaga. I live and work here in the community. I live with my wife of 16 years, my 4 kids ranging from 9 to 18, and I'm the youngest of 4 children born to Darlin, the late Harold Brandt. I'm seeking re-election for the next term on council. I currently hold the community safety and housing portfolios. I want to say the first 2 years on council have been a huge learning experience for me, but also very productive for the community. The path to success is never a straight line. There's always twists and turns and even roadblocks. All anyone can do is push forward and not give up. My current portfolio updates. I started this term with just community safety portfolio. When another councillor stepped away from their portfolio, I took initiative and stepped up. Under community safety. Policing, we have developed a Tyendinaga Police Services Board. We are working towards a self-administered police force to step away from the OFNPA and controlled by the OPP. Well, it's been a long process. The end is near. I believe we should be an independent force in the next few months. Ambulance. We have successfully obtained 2 full-time ambulances for the community and paramedics to operate the service 24 hours a day. It is a partnership between MBQ and Hastings County. They currently share space at the fire hall, but in addition to the hall to house the paramedic service is in the works. Housing. We have started a housing selection committee comprised of members from the community to fill rental units when they become available. We currently have 59 applicants on the current housing wait list. The applicants on the list are a mix of single people and families, and people who qualify for full rate housing and people that require rent geared to income. We currently have 210 rental units, which is 136 full rate, 74 RGI units. The wait list is broke down as follows: 1 bedroom, 33 applicants; 2 bedrooms, 13 applicants; 3 plus bedrooms, 13 applicants. We have started the first phase of the North Street housing development. This is located just off North Street on Flat Street in Deserano. This includes the building of 21 one-bedroom units. These units are built to zero energy certification. Of these 21 units, 12 are almost complete, just waiting on utility connections, and the other 9 are starting excavation. The plan for this development has a total of 26 detached homes, a 3-plex, a 21-unit, 3-story apartment building with a mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units. While some may question all the 1-bedroom units being built, this is to answer the need of the people looking for affordable housing within the community, or within the community's rental units. And before I ramble on more, I'll go because I'm almost time's up.
Yeah. Candidate Sarah Loft.
Okay, I'm ready. Sego se wakwego yogo zizige te yunga twaga skerige. My Mohawk name is Yago Didegete, which means she carries flowers as she goes along. My English name is Sarah Loft. I grew up in Tyndonega. Sorry, I'm a member of the Bear Clan. So I wrote my thing, so I sometimes I will go longer. So my parents are here tonight, Blaine Loft and Christine Perry. My grandparents were Iona Miracle and Franklin Loft, and my great-grandparents were Franklin and Mary Ellen Miracle and Nelson and Floretta Loft. I was born and raised in beautiful Tyndonega. I grew up on Upper Slash, where my father still lives. And today I stand before you and I ask for your vote of confidence in this upcoming election. I'm a mother of 5. My partner is here tonight from Oneida Nation of the Thames. We've been together for 15 years. Together we have 5 children, thank you. I am a small business owner. I run my own consulting business focused on Indigenous engagement, governance, economic development. I teach part-time at the Indigenous Policy and Governance Program at FNTI and TMU. I hold a Master's of Public Administration. I have a law degree from Queen's University and a BA from TMU. I worked locally, regionally, and nationally within the federal government for many years and as a special advisor to the National Chief of the AFN, and later as a Vice President of Business Development for a leading national Indigenous firm. My vision is simple. We all need a strong and safe Tyndonega built on respect, transparency, and opportunity for all. If elected to council, these are the commitments I will bring forward. I will bring my experience, lived experience, work experience, and my education in First Nations governance and transparency, economic development, community well-being and safety, the Culbertson Tract settlement, housing, and finally, legislative advocacy. There are many decisions that are being made at the provincial and federal level that will have major impacts on us as First Nations people, as Mohawk people, as Tyndonega people. From Bill 5 to C5 to Child Welfare Reform C92 and Second Generation Cutoff. This will directly impact our rights and our future. I will ensure that our voice is included, heard, and respected at all levels. My commitment to you is leadership that listens, leadership that includes, and leadership that stands up for our people. Together, we can build a strong and safe Tyndonega and a proud future for the next 7 generations. I ask for your vote, and I thank you for your trust. Yawa.
Yawa. Before I call our next candidate up, I would strongly encourage you, if you've not heard enough about a platform, find your candidate that you want to talk to on the break, because I can see from here how much they're editing down their carefully written speeches and notes to get everything into 3 minutes. So please make sure that you search people out and ask questions.
Excuse me, the people back in this back row can't hear. Can you turn the volume up? Thank you.
Yeah. Sheila Loft. Sorry.
Sego. For those of you that don't meet, Sego, can you hear me? For those of you that don't know me, my name is Sherry Loft. I live in this community. I grew up here. I live in my family home. I have 2 daughters that grew up here as well. My parents were Loretta Hill and Jack Sherrard. My grandparents were Everett John and Mavis Brandt. I've dedicated my life to working in our community. I've worked with I started at Red Cedar Shelter, and then I moved to Home and Community Care, and I'm currently working at Mohawk Family Services. I'm running for council because as I said, I work with our community. I hear everybody saying we need change. What does change look like? Like transparency, accountability, open communication. This is the kind of council meeting I would like to see, is open community meetings where people can come and voice their concerns and be heard, and it not be put back on council. We're elected by the people, so we work for the people. And this should not be a part-time job, it should be a full-time job. Chief had touched on a couple of topics that I wanted to talk about. Housing. There's a housing crisis everywhere, not just here, it's everywhere. I think we need to build more housing here on the territory for our people to be able to come home and not have to live outside of the community. The daycare. I know there's a long wait list at the daycare as well. We need a new daycare, a bigger daycare where we can, alleviate that wait, bring jobs to the community, and keep our kids at home. I think that's all. So, if elected, I will push for more community meetings. I want to hear your voice, whether it's at the band office, in the community. I'm going to make myself available for you. Text, call, emails. With my job, we have a turnaround rate where we have to be accountable to the people and answer the people. So that's what I'm asking from the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Paul Smart.
Hello, everyone. First thing I'd like to do is thank my nominator and my seconder. Thank all of you for allowing me this opportunity to possibly serve the community.
Sorry, Paul, can you just step closer to your mic? Thank you.
I've lived here over 40 years of my life. In that time, I've had 2 children as well, proudly belong to the community as well, and both work here as well. Most of my years here, I've done auto repairs for everyone needing them. I'm still active at that because I'm passionate about that. If elected, I will maintain that passion as a dedicated counselor for you, listening and caring about your concerns, going forward and bringing them to council. A few concerns I have. The children and the elders, to me, are the top of the list. Second would be policing. It has always been a concern for me, as well as it should be for you. Transparency. If something is asked of me to look into, I'll do my best to get you that answer. Honesty. I'm very honest. I have to be in my line of work because repeat customers and word of mouth are the best advertisements. Responsibility. I'm very responsible, but of course this is a learning experience, and if I've done something wrong, please bring it to my attention. So with that all said, I look forward to helping and serving this community in other ways as I've done for years. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, well. Chris Miracle.
Sago, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Yawagoa, for taking the time out of your busy schedules to hear from your candidates. I sincerely believe this will be our most consequential election in decades, perhaps, and our most important election ever. With significant global economic realignment, we're uniquely positioned to take advantage of our geographic location adjacent to the busiest highway in North America, a couple hours from major cities, and significant tax advantages. We have invested in our people by way of post-secondary education and training. Past chief and councils have had a vision of if we provide access to higher learning, whether it be at our own FNTI or other post-secondary institutions, and access to affordable housing, our members can prosper. Unfortunately, as we speak, consultants and lawyers are the flavor of the day. One council alone cannot stop this from occurring. There was a significant expensive effort within the current council to silence me on matters where I was passionate, and I maintain I was correct. This money could be put to a much better purpose. Much of this centered around the sale of the industrial lots and the use and cost of consultants and the direction of our housing. In regards to industrial lots, it was a great idea at the outset, but unfortunately, due to internal issues and personal interests at the table, the results are not anywhere near what the goals were at the outset. We need to change course. We need to develop, amend, and create in order to achieve the following: a bold and visionary community strategic plan, an economic development strategy led by the newly created Economic Development Commission. Chief and council need to retain Mohawks, hire Mohawks, and there's a time and a place where outside expertise is needed. I believe those situations are rare. Unfortunately, we're looking outward to others with no connections, no shared values, and money leaves our community. Please keep in mind the words hard work. Nothing of value ever comes easy. A road will be hard, but we'll have the winds at our back. People like Chief Earl Hill, Doug Merrick, and William J. Brandt, these men give their lives in service to our community. We owe their memory and their courage. We owe to their memory and courage to stand in defense of our rights. They had vision. They had ideas. As leaders, we have inherent obligation to keep fighting the good fight, the honorable battle to ensure our children, grandchildren, and future generations have every opportunity the Creator has put in place for us. We must support our recently developed Police Services Commission. Perhaps my proudest moment in council with no one I had influence was selecting 2 new officers from here in our community. Nick Leween, I don't see him, Nick Leween. I agree with you and the others who believe that converting existing rentals to home ownership is a great first step. Not all, but some. Currently, our vision appears to be led by off-territory consultants. Instead of full steam ahead, Mohawks, designing and building for Mohawks, we're investing millions and millions in Belleville high-rises. That does nothing for our economy. No more. The money stays here, the jobs stay here. I'm in full support of lacrosse strategy that has every child in our community owning a stick for starters. Sorry. Sorry. Council recently implemented a tennis selection committee. I am concerned that the current terms of reference has only diminished Mohawk control of the
10 seconds. Again, I encourage you to speak to the councillor candidates. They do have a lot of great proposals. One note that I do want to interject with, candidates, you do need to almost eat the mic. You need to have your face right up, or the mic doesn't always pick up your sound. Curtis Fox.
Hello, my name is Curtis. I've lived here in the community for many years. I believe we need more programming for elders and our youth. Big pandemic in our community right now is drugs, and I believe if we had, a drug rehab center, that type of things, with the culture and language center that the council's working on, I believe there's a good place for elders to come and tell stories of old times. I believe housing is a big thing in our community that needs to be addressed, especially money, where money's being spent, more transparency. And that's kind of what I got to say. Thank you.
Nyawa. Linda Leween.
Good evening, folks. I don't think I'll need the mic, but my name is Linda Wayne. I've been in this community all my life. I've worked here. Most of you guys all know me. If you don't know me, you're probably related to me, one or the other. I bet this will be my 3rd term going into council if you elect me in. I don't write a speech. I just want to talk to you from my heart. On these nights, I consider this as the report card, because it's you guys who decide if we did anything good or bad. You guys, if you vote us back in, we must have done a good job, and you just want us to do another job. What I'd like to see in this next term is I'd like to see we've already started with our community involvement. The community needs to be, all this stuff like housing. We've already started with that, with the Housing Selection Committee. That's community driven. TCDF, the Tobacco Committee, that's a community driven. So I'd like to see more of that where it's in the community hands, the community, the ones that have to judge on it, and they're the ones that will drive it. Thank you very much.
Meow. Aaron Ferrante.
Sego, everyone. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Bear with me. My name is Erin Ferrante, and I'm Wolf Clan from Gundege here. I've spent more than 10 years working in business administration here in our community, and for the past 5 years, I've served as the administrative lead with Gundege Midwives. I feel very fortunate to be able to live, work, and raise my family here at home. For the past 2 years, I've had the honor of serving as an elected councillor holding the education portfolio. This term has been a true learning journey, learning what the role of a counselor really is, learning what our community expects, learning when to have tough skin and when to keep your heart open, learning to have difficult conversations, and learning how to move forward in a good way with a good mind. I've learned that council sits in a unique place between the administration that runs the day-to-day operations of our organization and the community members whose needs, hopes, and concerns should guide every decision that we make. Balancing those two worlds isn't always simple, but it's necessary if we want transparent, steady, accountable governance. Going forward, my focus is clear. I want to continue strengthening our policies and procedures so decisions are consistent, fair, and transparent. I want to ground our work in the 7 generations teachings, thinking not just about today, but about the impact we leave for the generations coming after us. And I'd like to continue building strong, effective bylaws so our community can be safe, healthy, and protected. I'm running again because I believe in this community, I believe in the work we've started, and I believe in doing things the right way, with accountability, communication, and collaboration at the center. Thank you all for being here, for caring, and for taking part in shaping the future of Gundege. I hope to earn your support to continue this good work with a good mind and a good heart. Yawa.
Nyawa. Carlene Smart.
I'm shorter than the rest, so I put this down. I'm Carlene Smart. For those that don't know me, I'm daughter of Anna and Amos Miracle, one of 13 kids. I have 3 awesome daughters and 3 beautiful grandchildren. Husband, George Smart, of 43 years. My education, Loyalist College graduate developmental service worker. I went to First Nations Technical Institute for some basic computer training, and I went to our local language center, and I also got some courses through Brock and Trent University in the language. I got a food handling course and traveled extensively to our different nations to learn ceremonies, dance, song, and all that stuff that puts us together. My work history, I'm currently employed with MBQ as with the Gawajwe program, which is Indigenous-led ages 0 to 6. I worked at National Indian Brotherhood, National Health and Welfare, Adawa Friendship Center, General Dynamics in Michigan, Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte, Ball Diamond, Daycare, Before and After School program. I was a business owner of a water company called Three Sisters. I worked at Proctor Silex and Gibbert's Furniture. Community volunteer, Mohawk Ladies Guild, distributing winter clothing for children, dancing and singing, financed some food baskets for our community members, drove and collected items for it, worked at the soup program, had some ceremonies when we didn't have the longhouses at my place of residence. Made lots of dresses and ribbon shirts. We actually made a CD to help people in the community learn the songs that we had to travel to pick up. De Gundi Ranakwa was the name that we originally had. And I'm basically, I want to see environmental issues looked into, a bylaw officer, monitoring in our residential areas to keep our children and elders safe, minimize the garbage, and one other thing is to help out our young people. I worked in the justice years ago.
Nyawa.
Oh, congratulations and good luck to all the teammates.
Lou Miracle.
Greetings to everyone joining us today, whether in person or watching remotely. My name is Lily Marlene Miracle, born to Annabelle Miracle and Amos Miracle, and we resided on the Upper Slash Road. I left the territory for a while to find employment, and eventually I came back to be near family. I was taught never to quit, but to always give my best. Today, I can continue to serve in our community by volunteering at many events. I am a mother, a grandmother, a sister, an auntie, a mother-in-law, and each one of these gives me great joy. I chose to let my name stand in the 2025 election because I believe I can make a difference for the people. The Mohawk people are known as people of the Flint, which is strong and resilient. I believe that if we can set aside our differences and work together, we can restore peace, trust, and honor in our community. One of my priorities is introducing strong, reliable bylaws to ensure the future generations can grow gardens, raise their families here, and with land coming back to the community, I would like to see the issue of the land purchases addressed. I would also like to see improved facilities for our youth. Many of our young people excel in sports and deserve greater access to spaces and programs that help them develop their skills. This is not only about today, but it is about protecting what we leave for those who come after us. As Mohawk people, our connection is to the land, is not symbolic, it is part of who we are. The land is a gift from the Creator, and that gift comes with responsibility. When we say words before all else in the opening address, we give thanks for the earth, the waters, the plants, and animals. Those words should guide our daily actions, not just our ceremonies. Gratitude is shown in how we care for our land and honor what we have been given. I'm also really excited about the 160-bed unit that is being opened next year, and I think it's exciting that we can bring some of our own people back into the community instead of off wherever. My time is up. Thank you very much for your time and attention.
Nyawa. Chip Brandt.
Sago, everybody. My name is Curtis Brandt. Most of you know me as Chip. I've born and raised here in Tynanaga. I've had the privilege of raising my own family here. I'm a husband, a father to 4 children, and a grandfather to 2 grandchildren. My parents were the late Bill and Norma Brandt, and the late Cameron and Helen Brandt, and Percy and Eileen Green. I proudly served on the Mohawk Fire Department for 30 plus years. That was a lot of serve. As a long life resident, I've deeply believed in the community's strength, resilience, and potential that I want to continue contributing to our growth and success, collaboration, transparency, and forward thinking of leadership. Community priorities. One was water access. I want to secure additional funding to keep our water system so that every home in Tygenega has clean drinking water, because I think that is an important one. Revenue and sustainability. It's time to explore community-driven revenue opportunities that empower our nation to fund important projects on our own terms, especially for the members who promote long-term growth and self-sufficiency. Housing. I think we've all show the same vision that we need more housing here, for sure. Youth and inclusion. We need more community facilities to encourage the healthy living of both our youth and our elders. That's a big for me. Elder support. We must find ways to help our elders remain in their homes within our community with the comfort and care and dignity they deserve. Education and support services. We must advocate and full implementation on Jordan's principle, because that principle is failing us. Community engagement. We need more inclusive community meetings focused on collaboration and progress, not personal gain, so its decisions reflect from the people's voice. Same goes for our language and culture. The language, who we are, we must continue to support Mohawk language programs and ensure education funding reflects on this for the real needs of our community by teaching Mohawk language in our local schools, so we can help our children grow, be proud of who they are, and connected with their roots, and confident in their identity. So, and the other part is that community safety. I want to make sure that this is a safe and healthy community, that we'd like to see the council come together as a collective to make this happen. Our bylaws are gradually taking shape, and they still need voices and ideas and input from the community, and truly reflect on who we are and what we value. Thank you.
Nyawa. Will Fisher.
Sego. Can you hear me in the back? Yeah. Sego Sewa Guego, Regarda Dakos Yungets. You can call me Will Fisher. I've lived in this community since I was a teenager, over half my life. I have 5 kids in this community. It's the first time I've ever done something like this. I've never even voted. So I ran a campaign off 7 key issues. There's obviously a lot more than that. The first 2 go hand in hand. It's economic development and employment. We have the talent, the skill, and the heart right here in our own community. We must build an economy that reflects who we are, one that supports local businesses, creates good jobs and careers, and keeps our resources in our own hands. We should work to bring training, investment, and opportunity right here at home for our youth and our families and our skilled workers. The number 3 is there's a housing crisis. No one should have to struggle to find a safe, affordable home in their own community. It's time we tackle the housing crisis head on with more units, fair prices, and homes designed for our people's needs, from young families to our respected elders. Obviously, the council's covered the last part with the retirement home they've built. We need to modernize our governance. Our bylaws and systems must reflect today's realities while respecting our traditions. I will work to review and update outdated laws, bring transparency to decisions, and use modern tools to make it easier for every community member to have a voice. This brings me to point number 5, which is gaming and licensing. Gaming and licensing are opportunities, but only if managed wisely. That's why I propose a gaming and licensing board to ensure fairness, accountability, and community benefit. And this would be through the community, not through the band council. Number 6 is Ganyangeha. It's our language, it's our identity. You all heard her do the opening, or whoever did it. Our language is not just words, it's who we are. We must make Ganyangeha visible and accessible across our community, in our schools, and in our public signs. We use it in our ceremonies and in our governance. When we speak our language, we strengthen our spirit. This brings me to my 7th point, probably the most important for me. The land is our mother. It gives us everything, our food, our medicines, our identity. We have a sacred responsibility to protect it. I will work to ensure development respects the land, to support renewable energy, and to promote community gardens and traditional stewardship programs. So just in closing, I would just like to say that together, you know, whoever does get in, congratulations to you. Thanks for all yous coming out. I would endorse any of you as a counselor. I'm sure you would me as well. But like I say, together as one is how we'll do this. No more infighting. You know, there's many factions in the community. And I think that having 6 counselors can represent all those groups.
Nyawa. Chris Brandt. Well, I think it's lucky.
Hi, just like Linda, I forgot my paper at home. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak from the heart also like I did last year. Okay? We've heard about, how I want to do this, how I want to do that. I'm not going to tell you what I want. I've had, I don't know, countless numbers of meeting peoples in their home. People coming to sit in my kitchen, talking with me, come into my house, telephone calls, come and sit on my front porch, watching the cars go by as we drink a tea. That's me. Rayoff with Neil. Neatly. That means the one that's, it's got different translations, but the one that stands out, the one that stands up front. So, me being the one that stands up front, I'm standing up front, not for me, but for you guys. Like I said, through the winter, all of a sudden we had a big snowfall. I went and grabbed the tractor, and I almost plowed everybody from the corner up to, we seen some elders out pushing, trying to shove their, I took my tractor up and shoved the driveway for them. I'm like my dad. Everybody knows my dad as Lester Brandt, neighbor. They call him neighbor. And one day when I grow up and get bigger, I'm going to be just like him. And that's the truth. Truth and honesty. We hear about transparency, but sometimes sitting in council over the past 2 years, I've learned things that I could never, ever imagine. But there are times that we have to keep our mouth closed about things that is very, very passionate for you guys. And we know what that one big one was. We knew about that long time ago. And we dealt with it even before you came forward, and it got taken care of. Sometimes we can't just tell you everything that's going on for legal purposes. We got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do that, but we can't. Although we would like to speak about things that happen or that is going on at the table, legally we can't, because it could put the community in trouble. There's something that's happening right now in the court where one of our members is taking us to court. But he's not taking the band to court. He's taking the people to court. He's acting on behalf of the people, he says. But it's not. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I probably forgot a whole bunch, but like I said, I forgot my paper at home like Linda did. So anyway, thank you very much.
And that concludes our introductory speeches for the candidates that are present here. We do have some candidates who are absent, and again, I encourage you to reach out to them. We will now have a 10-minute break. I would like to remind those present to think about your questions and make sure that you actually have a question. Nyawa. If I can please get all candidates back up to the front, we will begin in 1 minute. All candidates, 1 minute. Seconds. 30 seconds. Please find your seats. Gunjokwa, Sawarosiost. Ladies and gentlemen, if I can have your attention, we will begin. If you want to, yeah. One of the things that I love about this community is how joyful we are and how the moment that we let the reins loose, places erupt into conversation as though you're seeing people who you haven't seen in forever. And that is one of the things that I love and respect and appreciate so much about this community, is that no matter what event we go to, there is always conversation like that, and that it is so hard to get us back together so that we can continue the business of the night. That being said, we are entering the fun part now, or at least I think the part that most of us ended up coming for, because it's the chance where you get to ask your questions and we get to dig in a little bit deeper into the things that we want to know as a community. That being said, I want to remind everyone here about the kind of people that we are and the kind of community that we are and how we pride ourselves in being. I want to remind everyone here that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast out. So how you act, what you say, what you do matters. And if you are not representing yourself in a way that you want to live on past all of us, then you need to consider how you're representing yourself. Before we get started, I'm going to quickly run through how this is working once again. Questioners have 1 minute to ask a question. If you have a question that will require more in-depth discussion or unpacking, please speak to the candidate directly. Because again, this is not a debate, and this is not a time that we are using to call people out or to soapbox. Once you've asked your question, the candidates have 2 minutes to respond. If their answer has not been clear enough, you may ask a follow-up question. Then they have 1 minute to respond. As a matter of helping us all out, I would like you to try to direct your question to a candidate or candidates so that they know they need to get up and come to the mic. And again, in my bold, questioners must ask a question. We do have some pre-submitted ones. However, as the rules had stated, the people who showed up in person have the first chance to ask theirs. So if you have a question, the mic is at the back by the table with the ladies. I would like to remind everyone here, you pretty much do need to eat the mic. On that note, candidates, I know you hate talking into this as much as I do, but we really need you to use the mic because those who are hard of hearing and those who are online cannot hear you. Who's going to be our first brave person?
Come on, people. There we go. Here we are.
Can you hear me? Curtis, I'd like to have a little bit more information, dear, on what you would like to do with the youth.
Just like as a kid in the community, there was Kim, the bus driver, and the bus drivers used to have a yearly Canada's Wonderland trip. Just more like programs, maybe some men. Joe Brown was a huge person for the youth, and with him being gone, I believe the youth has lost someone that they can talk to. And I know personally I have a lot of youth come to me and talk to me, and I help them personally.
And I'd like to thank you. You've been a great supporter to our family.
Thank you.
Curtis, I'm going to get you to stand back up again because I do have a question. There are a number of people who are new candidates this year that we've never seen run. And so this question is for all new candidates, and I'm only starting with Curtis because he's at the mic. What inspired you to run this time?
Just the division in the community. I see a lot of fractions, a lot of people, a lot of misinformation, and it'd just be nice to come back as a community, bring in community events like the Jamboree, where we used to have tug-of-war, egg toss, stuff like that in the powwow grounds. I believe Chief Earl done that. It'd just be nice to bring those things back, different stuff like that, money for the fair, powwow, stuff like that. Stuff that brings the community together.
Yeah. Well.
Thank you.
Is there another new candidate who would like to respond?
Thank you for your question. Before, when I introduced myself, I was in a rush and got thrown off by the, so I want to just thank you for everybody for coming tonight. Thank you for the moderator you're doing a wonderful job, and thank you to Logan for opening us with those wonderful words. I would like to share with you why I'm running for the first time. I spent many years working in politics on a national level, and that gave me the ability to visit communities from coast to coast to coast. Going to communities, remote communities, and seeing how they struggled, and seeing how even the community is so far away from our community in Tyndonega, and we're so different, and sometimes our nations are so different, but we still share a lot of common issues. We share a lot of issues, and we all share a lot of shared values. So moving back to the community about 11 years ago, I never had any intention. I always said I would never ever get involved in politics. I saw the toll that it took on people's mental health. I saw the toll that when people really, really cared and put themselves out there, but then I also saw the rewards. I had multiple people stop by my house and ask if I would consider putting my name forward. I had a conversation with my father, who was in politics for a very long time as well. and he supported my decision and encouraged me to run. So I thank him for nominating me and my daughter for seconding me. So I just feel like even though I don't have a lot of experience on local politic level, I do have a lot of experience on a national level on issues that are very big, and then also living in the community and growing up here and seeing some things that have changed a lot and a lot of things that haven't changed a lot. I mentioned I have children. My youngest one is 8 years old. He goes to the language school, to the Gananue. And I see how the pride of him learning our language and moving and living here in the community and learning our ceremonies. And I want to invest as much as I can into our youth in that way as well. So, yeah.
Nyawa. Are there any other new candidates who would like to speak?
I'm not a politician. I know nothing about politics. My grandfather's probably rolling over in his grave right now because he didn't like that stuff. The reason I'm running for the first time is because, like I said, people keep saying we need change. Well, what does that change look like? I've had people over the last few months stopping at my house, the same as Chris, visiting, saying, this is what we want to see. People want transparency, accountability. Where is the money being spent? You know, people are asking about the Culbertson track. What's going on with that? We hear nothing, and I think we need to be open with the community to say what's going on. And if you can't, then I think that needs to be told as well. I think we just need accountability and transparency. That's why I'm running.
Nyawa.
The reason I decided to run was I'm older than a lot of the candidates here, so that means I've been some different places. I've traveled to our different territories. I've actually seen we actually have a lot of issues in common across our territories. But I would like to see our community come together and be the community it used to be. Care for your neighbor. Stop and help them. I saw a lady that this year will be celebrating her 100th birthday. Last year, I went by, she was out there shoveling snow, and I backed up and I stopped and I said, what are you doing? She said, well, if I want to go somewhere, I have to be able to get my car out. I said, you know, we have programs in the territory, and you need to access that program to help you do that. All the stuff that has came down in the last couple months is scary. It's very scary. The people that we don't know who our neighbors are, and that we need to, the garbage that's being thrown around, the environmental issues of businesses, and the stuff that's going into the water and the ground. Those are the things. Oh, and the health that's been cut back. That's it.
Nyawa. Now, I will say I have taught in every grade from kindergarten through to grade 12. I have amazing wait time. Are there any other candidates who would like to speak?
New ones or old ones?
I do have a second question for older candidates. But I'm going to see if there are any more in-house who would like to ask first.
Just curious, I'm not sure if this is a question or not, but I'm just curious where the other two counselors are, Terry and Nick, and why are they not here to listen to the real people? That's their voice.
Terry's hunting.
He's hunting?
Yep.
Oh. Oh, so that's more important than this right here? I don't. That's more important than this right here? Okay. And the second question I got is, one of your meetings, Don, I'm not know if I can allowed to ask this or not, but all the old crew was in there, and you said something about loose lips sink ships. What's that mean to me? I couldn't understand that statement when you said that.
Well, when the council enters into a partnership, let's say if it were an energy project, the council has to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So everything cannot be made public to abide by the agreements that they sign. And so if you put that out, you breach that agreement and you can expose the band to liability.
Come on up. Yep.
I live on Bellside Road along with my wife. And for a long time now, we have watched some awful things coming on that road. One example would be, we come home from a vacation with my family, daughters. It was in the summertime. We pulled down Bellside Road, and what do we see? We see Army people walking up Bellside Road, and they weren't playing games. Carlene, remember when that happened? That's one of the things. That was about 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I'm not going to mention whose house they went into. That's up to the band to find out. On the issue of coming back again, and you're away from your home, and then you come back, and then all of a sudden you see all these shanties on Bellside Road. You know, at one time, Bellside Road used to be a nice looking street, a road, by the bridge, had fish.
And what is your question?
Question is, how did this happen, and what are you going to do about it? Thank you.
Beautiful.
I'd like to address that. I guess I wasn't loud enough last time, so I'll speak into the mic. Just kidding. I heard that some people online couldn't hear me talking. You guys could hear me talking, but they couldn't online. So anyway, just a short form to address that, and it's simple. Why do we not know about that? Why do you not let us know about that? Do you think we can be everywhere at once? Okay, now this is what I said about people coming to me with whatever's happening. I work 3 jobs, okay? Earlier I had said there was a meeting 3 days after I had my hip replaced. I just got let out from the hospital. 3 days later, we were meeting with the government of Canada and some lawyers. I thought that was the time for me to be there. My health didn't matter, but I was a counselor. I had to be at that meeting. I was only able to stay there till noon, but I excused myself and went home. So anyway, getting back to the question, you have to come to us. We don't see everything that happens around our community. And if you come to see me, like many have in the past, we will get to the bottom of it. Simple. And I'm sorry that if they frightened you or whatever, Okay, thanks. They can't hear you on the microphone. You have to talk into the microphone, George.
As an ex-prison guard, it takes a lot to get afraid, because when you work there year in and year out, nighttime, and things go bad at prisons, and you see some awful things, so it gets a little hard on your skin, it gets a little tough, and you can withstand that. But when you see your home, which is supposed to be peaceful, you're doing your best to keep it up. You're waving at people that you know going by. What else am I supposed to do? What else is my wife supposed to do? What about my children? So we have a council. I'm not blaming council. I'm trying to say, let's get it together so we can balance this thing, and where everybody can say, okay, we're all right. Thank you.
Thanks, George. As once said, as had stated, just a question to you. How many times have you came to my house to talk?
For different things?
Yes.
Well, I'd say about maybe 3 times.
How many?
I'd say about 3.
How many, Brenda? More than that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's been to the house. We never knew about what you had just addressed, okay? All of those times, I actually even went over to your house and helped you put a piano in your basement for you because you called me to ask me if I would help. Yes, I did. It was a heavy piano. But anyway, we got it done. So anyway, like I said, we talk about transparency here. How about being transparent with us? Transparency is about honesty. We got to be honest with each other, and whatever happened to those days when I used to go driving with my dad, and we would stop into somebody's house.
Yeah. Are there any other candidates who would like to speak to that question?
George, when you called me, or I think it was Carlene called me to let me know they saw some people that they thought were from Mexico on your road there, and they wanted to know what they were doing there. They thought they might be suspicious. What were they up to? People do get worried when they see people in the community that they don't know who they are or what they're all about. And I think the answer is that they're there because of the almighty dollar that'll land in a few pockets. I got one of the persons with the a person that was obviously looked like a foreigner was peeking in her window. It scared her to death. There were community meetings here about grow-ups, and I got calls the next day after the people had that committee that there were people who were threatening each other with violence. So we have to be concerned about the safety of the community. And I don't think that's the kind of community that the people expect the community to degenerate because of the greed of a few. And so we have to, the council has a responsibility to keep our community safe. We need to know who's here, why. And I think the other thing with whatever is going on in the community needs to be consulted to see the first step, is this okay? Do they want that? It just isn't what you're going to have to put up with is, do they want it? Because everybody has rights. And right now, the way it is right now, everybody's rights are not being respected. And that's why we have the problems we do.
Are there any other candidates who would like to speak to that question before we have our next one asked? What are you hoping to do to handle the difficulties and challenges that are being raised by changes in our community, given incoming and other people in our community?
We need bylaws, but we need bylaws with teeth. We started talking about bylaws 15, 20, 25, 30 years ago, and the last time we had a community meeting, we all sat here and we were told, we can't do bylaws, we can't do bylaws, blah, 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 blah. But this week we can do bylaws. And I've been saying it for I wrote a property standards bylaw and residential construction bylaw 30 years ago. It's just simply cut and paste back then. Now you just ask AI. My point is, it can be done, people do it, but 2 words, political will. But when you have bylaws in place, you're going to disappoint some people. That's the way it is. But a bylaw in place to control residency, because the police have said, we can't do anything because we don't know if they live here, they're working here. So we need to know that the police need to know they're supposed to be there. Now we have Mohawk kids being told at Quinte Mohawk they can't go to Quinte Mohawk because we're overcrowded. And we have non-native kids, but the school is saying, well, council, you don't have a residency bylaw. And then we say, well, we can't do bylaws. We can, it's just political will, but nobody wants to do it, or we want to spend millions of dollars and pay lawyers when you can do this stuff in-house real easy if we just say, yes, we're going to do it, and we put you together. It's that simple. But no, instead of chief and council saying, we're going to lock ourselves up with smart people for a couple of days, hammer out some bylaws, where do we go? Iroquois caucus. Chief, councils, half a dozen staff, 10 people, and we go to Iroquois caucus and sit there for days and days and talk about pie in the sky things. Far too often we listen to others, we follow others. Once upon a time in Montego Bay, Quinte, we're the leaders. Everybody followed us. Now we hire consultants, or we go to ask this community, that community, and I tell you, I worked with those communities 10, 15, 20 years ago. They got a lot to learn from us, and they were learning from us, and now we've gone backwards. It's nothing but consultants calling the shots, lawyers calling the shots, and we're afraid to put something in place. We got to step up, put fair bylaws.
Yeah.
If they're good people, part of this community.
Miss Carleen.
I'm not fear-mongering, but we got to step up.
You may
And we got to take action.
You may
because it's
stand.
affecting everything.
Miss Carleen. I'm sorry, Chief Miracle. Miss Carleen was standing. If we can please let Miss Carleen go. And then you. Nyawo.
Go ahead,
I know just a little wee tiny bit about bylaws. And the reason the bylaws, there's no one here to look into that. We don't have bylaw officers. The Indian Act clearly states, in the absence of a bylaw officer, the police are supposed to take over and do that. But when the police on this territory were asked about that, they said, no, it's not our responsibility. But unfortunately, what has happened, at the time that we investigated that, there was a bylaw in 79 and it had to do about quarrying. That's never, to my knowledge, been addressed and looked into. And I'm concerned because our people, our young people do not have land to build on. We can't fault somebody else for stealing our land when some of our own people are carrying it to them. That's all I can say.
I'm going to let Chief Miracle answer the question now, and then we're going to move because we do have 2 questions lined up.
We have 17 bylaws. The bylaw binder has been given to all the council when they first take office. If they want to put changes forward, they're at privilege to do so. I agree with bylaws, but bylaws are only words on papers until they can be enforced. The Chiefs of Ontario asked the province of Ontario when the Police Services Act was being amended that there be a mandatory requirement for the police to enforce their bylaws, because without that, or without a prosecutor and a court to take it to, they're just words on paper. People laugh at it because they know there's no consequence to not abiding by it. So right now, the Chiefs of Ontario are taking Canada to court because no place is supposed to be devoid of law. When the community governments can't have the laws they make enforced for the safety of the people, That creates a very serious weakness in government, and the Chiefs of Ontario are addressing it by taking Canada and Ontario to court over that. And so the Ontario refused to amend the Community Safety and Policing Act and incorporate that. Instead, they said they didn't have to enforce the banned bylaws. So therefore, we have to hire a prosecutor, and we've got to create our own court. That takes money to do that. And it will take a council that's willing to go and lobby for money and show up to get money, because that's how work gets done. You can have a vision, but faith without works is dead. All the money that we've got for these projects is because a few devoted people in strong leadership went out and lobbied for that money. That's why the changes, good changes, came about in this community. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for your patience.
Hi, everyone. My name is Raven Tababandung, and I have a question for Chief Candidate Clifford Miracle. So based off of your opening, I guess, address, just based off of that, are you for or against the progression of our police services into their own independent service?
And by what was that again?
So based off of your opening statement, are you for or against the progression of our own police service into their own independent service?
Here's one of the major issues that nobody's mentioned tonight. It's a right of yours, and it's a right of yours, and they are trying to take it away from you with dozens. 100 police officers came in on Ian Weed. 25, 30 officers came in on me. They have no right coming into your place on your land and destroying what you have. Cannabis and tobacco is your right, and we will grow it in 26, in 27, in 28, and 29, and 30. And no outside force will tell us we don't have the right. Now, if they want to make a bylaw here, then they can make a bylaw. Make the bylaw. But for the outside force to take our rights away from us, and over 14 people have been charged criminally, and I'm one of them, and I'm going to fight it, not just for me, but for you and you. There's no business that the chief should allow OPPs to come in here by the hundreds and prosecute my people. It should not happen, and it will not happen. Laugh if you will. But when they come after you, give me a call. I'll help you.
And so, Mr. Miracle, I am going to clarify the question that was asked. And I would like a one-word answer.
Yes.
Are you for
yes.
or
yes.
against?
Yes. We need our own police force behind us, not bringing out guys from another place coming in and persecuting you and me and everybody else. That has got to stop. And as long as this chief allows it to happen, it will continue. We need a good police force here.
So I will paraphrase with an emphatic yes. Mr. Miracle is for the development of our own police force.
Absolutely. But not controlled by the chief of council.
So first of all, whether an outside police force comes in to assist our police is the decision of the police chief, not the council chief. But if they make council aware there's a community safety issue, it is the chief and council that decide that we're not going to stand in the way of them having outside source to help them to enforce the law to keep the community safe. And right now there was a safety concern. The chiefs up north are very concerned about the number of young people committing suicide in the north, and they're blaming the drugs that are coming in from the south. They actually wanted the mail to be opened so that drugs that are being shipped into the north, killing their children, that the mail could be opened so they could stop it to try to save their own kids from mental health issues, from neurodivergent cases, from developing schizophrenia or committing suicide, because there is a suicide epidemic up in the north, and they're blaming the South. We're not going to have a healthy community if we have a drug-addicted one. And I heard one of the young people say we need a drug addiction center. We don't need more drugs. We need help for the people that are addicted. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to ask Raven if she has any follow-up. Okay. Chris, 1 minute.
Okay.
You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah.
meant in 1 minute. Oh.
No, you may have 1
Okay,
minute.
just, I've traveled, like I had mentioned last year, with the hockey. I've traveled from the East Coast to the West Coast, from the South to the North. And what Chief Merkel was talking about, the drug and alcohol problems in the North, yes, it does come from the South. And when we have that many grow-ops and the community coming to us as council wanting the change, wanting these to be gone, well then, like Ed said, the chief had said, it's the Tyndall Mohawk Police Service that invites the OPP on board. They come to us, yes, it is good. You do what it takes to satisfy the community. And the community wanted it, and I'm all for backing that those rates.
Yeah, well.
If I can just speak to your original question as well, I think the creation of the new police services in being in-house is going to be fantastic, a really great opportunity for the community. They have a police service board working diligently now on creating the structure of what that will look like for the community. And it's a really great opportunity to maybe have somebody that we can work a little bit more close with in developing the bylaws that the community wants to see and the policies that we want to see upheld, as well as, oh, that sucked it right out of my brain. I lost my train of thought. But yes, I think it's great.
We have 2 questions left, and I'm sorry to move on, but we do have 2 questions left, and then we do need to take a quick break. So I will ask the 2 gentlemen who were lined up, and then we will come back to the 3rd after the break.
Thank you. So when I stood up there to ask my question, so many things happened that the dynamics of my question may have changed a little bit. But I think as a community, we've seen such change take place over the last 6, 7 years with the elephant in the room, that we really, as families, we need to consider what's happening and what can happen to our future if we don't guard our future now. And I believe that what's taken place is, I recently had some young people around me that needed a piece of land, and they tried to access a piece of land because they were getting married. And they went from place to place to place to place, and all of the land was so expensive that they could not afford to buy a piece of land because the price of land has been driven up. So, in explaining that, my wife and I were trying to find land for our children about 6 or 7 years ago. And it was kind of like when things were just getting started and people were buying up the land and paying big prices for it. And then when people caught on to it, they realized that they had a gold mine if they had a piece of land for sale.
And so your question?
The question's coming. I have to lay the groundwork. So I went to somebody who I thought could sell me enough land for me to supply my children for the next generation. Because to me, that was the way my father did things. As a Mohawk, he got land for each one of my family and gave it to us. But when we went and asked about this piece of land, the guy, we said, how much do you want for it? It was 2.5 acres. He said, I want $2.5 million in a suitcase, cash. And I said, well, I don't have $2.5 million to pay. And he said to me, sucks to be you. And so we went on looking for other land to purchase, and there wasn't anything available that was reasonable. And so I'm saying to you, council, future council, potential council, what are you going to do about protecting this for our children? What are you going to do about making it so that we, as the regular folks in this land that work jobs, that do things on a normal level, we aren't hiding suitcases full of money under our bed. We're just, getting by and trying to be decent about it. What can council do to help us to level things out a bit? I'm not saying we want to go against guys who are doing well. I'm saying, how do we balance this out and make it so that our community aren't a bunch of greedy people, but our community is a group of people who still honor the values that we started out with the prayer that says thank you.
Mm-hmm. Very good question, and I'm seeing a lot of activity up at the front. I'm going to say 1 minute for each respondent, and we are going to cap it at 5.
So in our land claim discussions, I have never been an advocate to surrender any of our land, and that included Shannonville many years ago. What I advocate for is the return of more of our land so that our young people will have a chance to build a house somewhere on reserve, where we push the government for changes to the addition to reserve policy so it doesn't take so long to get the land added back to the reserve. We have no control over the people that have a certificate of possession, what they're going to, whether they want to sell their land or what they're going to charge for it. So the solution is, because there's our pressures from Bill S2 and a growing population, the need for more infrastructure to get more land so that there's a place that young people can live on the reserve.
So if the band accesses more land, if we do access more land, will it stay in the hands of the community and be sold to the community at a decent price so our young people can be guaranteed property when they want to have children and have a family?
So many years ago, the band bought land to create a lot. We have hundreds of acres in a land bank already that on the reserve, but it needs infrastructure to develop it. It needs electrification, it needs water and sewer, natural gas, a road. And so all of that's going to take a strong lobby for money, particularly in the government cutbacks. So we need a council who will show up for lobby sessions.
Yeah, one chief. Chris?
Couple things. One, we can't depend on lobbying the federal government the rest of our lives. The last 10 years, the money has fell from the sky with the Trudeau government. And on top of that, we have the greatest lobbyist chief in the history. On top of that, a lot of that money was for housing. MBQ has a history of housing successes. So my point is, we can't start using some of our own money. We all need funding. Can't do it, don't have funding. But then we say, oh, we have $25 million invested, but we can't spend $2 over here. And the other question was, yes, Culbertson. Let's put aside 50 acres and let's put 100, 200 lots, and let's say, okay, we're going to have first-time home ownership. First-time home ownership. You don't own land? Buy a lot. And we have 4 or 5 builders that will build 1 or 5 or 6 houses, and they'll build your house, so we have some consistency in the subdivisions. But first-time home ownership for those who've never owned land. But let's do a land use plan for Culbertson. Are we going to do a land use plan every time we get a piece of property back and spend $50,000 on a consultant? And then this, and then this, and then an isolation? No, Culbertson won't. How about some first-time homeowners? And that's just Culbertson. We got lots of land.
Yeah,
and we have to start doing that. And it'll correct itself.
Miss Lou, you can start making your way to the mic. Nyawa.
I'd like to speak to Jonathan's question about the land that's being returned to the MBQ, to our territory. And before I said that I would like to see concrete measures put in place to ensure that people don't come in, and we've went over this time and time again about the 500-acre lots that people, or properties people can buy at one time. That needs to stop. We need to put something in place so that all people, the younger generations, can afford to buy even a building lot. There's nothing available right now that they can afford. Thank you.
Yeah. And our last question before
Can I
break.
make one comment? Kath?
Sure.
There is a motion on the books that nobody can have more than 500 acres of land unless they're going to farm it. And that was put in place during William Jay's time. That issue has been brought up before the current council. And if they want to change it, all it takes is a motion to change the policy. There have been no motions made.
Yeah, well. Okay, our last question, please. Okay.
I have to address this question.
1
we
minute.
have 299 acres on the Culberson land tract. It's in the shadow of the tower of the water of Deserano. The water's there, the sewer's there, the gas is there, the electric's there. If I were your chief, there would now be 25 homes on a street on the Culberson land tract, with another 25 ready to be built as soon as those were finished and available for our people. And let's give it to them. Let's cut lots out and give it to them. We'll have a bank that can supply them a mortgage for a house. We could give them the land. What have we done? We got $31 million from the government through 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, and what have we done with it? Nobody here can tell me what they've done with it unless maybe it's back here. Nobody can tell us. Why isn't it being used for you, for your children, for your grandchildren, what my brother asked for? Why not? We could put a street from the front to the back, and there it is, and no.
Nyawa, time is up. If our last question asker would like to please step up to the mic, we can move on to our next question. Nyawa Clifford.
Are you ready? My question is to Chief Chris. You guys, you said you went to the Northern Territories. I've been to a lot of Northern Territories, hunting, fishing, whatever. And you mentioned about the drugs and all that. But you guys are the guys that okayed the alcohol to come on our territory. Why is that? Isn't it as bad or worse than drugs on the territories? Yes or no?
Can I answer?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. We all know that alcohol and cannabis is mind altering. Okay? It's upon each and every one of us to be responsible about it. We allowed only those that came to council requesting a permit, but they had strict guidelines through the liquor licensing off reserve, and they had to adhere by all of these laws to be able to carry alcohol on. We have so many thousands of plants where individuals just go and do it. No, there is no laws, or there is no nobody's going to see this, you know, where you have the licensing off the reserve that is taking care of that, but there's nothing about weed plants. And not just the federal law states 4 plants per household, but you got guys that have like 7,000, 10,000. Anyway, yes, any drug that's mind altering is very bad, whether it's just, oh, it's only weed, I'm going to go driving. You know, I see so many transport accidents, and yes, I have. I've lived in northern Quebec for 8 years in one community, 1 year in another, 3 years in another community, plus traveled all across the West Coast, and I do see that, and I know up through the Inuit territories that they do open all of the mail just to try to cut down on the children's suicides. And that's all through alcohol and drugs.
Nyawa, Chief Miracle.
Allowing alcohol sales on the reserve, we have to turn back the clock in time. When did it start? Well, back in the 60s, when it was illegal to have alcohol, there was a vote to make the reserve wet, which meant alcohol could be on the reserve without any prosecution under the Indian Act. The council back in the 70s during Bill Brandt's time allowed the people to get something called special occasion permits, and anybody that drinks probably has purchased alcohol right over here and behind this bar with a provincial special occasions permit. For years, the Mohawk Fire Department have had a beer tent right here at Mohawk Fair under a provincial permit. And a provincial permit is allowing people to sell alcohol that's not quite as, doesn't have the same amount of alcohol content as other spirituous drinks in their stores, because this is part of the economy of today and they want to participate in it. Personally, for me, I'm a non-drinker and I don't take drugs. I've never done that. I've had a glass of wine once in a while at somebody's wedding to toast the bride. But people drink, but I think the thing about it is that they have to do it responsibly, because it's legal to do that. It's legally
Andrea,
on the
I would ask
market.
you to please be respectful. Nyawa.
So you're saying that, so you're actually, you and Chris are actually saying alcohol is okay because they got a paper.
So years ago, when Chief Earl Hill was the chief, we met with the Department of Justice to see about having a liquor control bylaw on the reserve, and we were told that the council doesn't have the authority on the reserve to make a control bylaw. The only authority was to make it dry or wet, and the people here decided it would be wet, which means it was okay to have alcohol on the reserve.
So you're saying that alcohol's okay?
Well, when it was
You
here,
guys wouldn't sit down with these farmers or weed farmers, whatever you want to call them, and kind of try to work it out where they'd cut back and grow so many, right?
the people
No,
signed a
yes or
petition,
no,
they
Don.
don't
I
want
want
it.
Yes or no answer. Can you answer that for me? Yes or no? You did give them a chance. You guys never even had a meeting with them. Not one of yous.
We did.
Did you? Not one of yous. But you go and shove alcohol in stores that our kids are getting. I know that for a fact. So don't tell me your bullshit about paperwork and all that, the government overseeing it. Don't give me that, Don. I've been around here all my life. I
The
know
police
what's going
enforce
on.
those laws.
And all the hard drugs that are being sold. You guys never hit one goddamn place. Excuse me? Not one.
And with that note,
Did you, Chris?
we are going to remind that we are a people of Skuna, Gazastunsara, and Gatnigorio. I would invite everybody to please take an 8-minute break. We will reconvene at 9:10. And if you have further discussion that you would like to have, please find your candidate. And we are ready to come back. 30 seconds. 30. Two. 15. If I can get all counselor candidates back to the front. 15. 10.
'em. I'm so sorry about that.
That's okay. It's all right. And time is up. Minute to ensure that we get the most number of people responding possible. With that being said, we have a gentleman who graciously stepped down and waited until after break. So we're going to let Kev ask his question, and then we will see if there are any others to follow up. Nyawa.
Off right now. My question goes to the council, all the candidates right now. If any of yous would be willing to move towards a traditional government.
So for those online, if you couldn't
A
hear,
show of hands from who would be willing to go towards a traditional government as opposed to the Indian Act that we're in now.
the question is, who would be willing to move towards a traditional government?
I was just asking for a show of hands.
Yeah, he was just asking for a show of hands if you would be willing to move towards a traditional government.
Sorry, I know it's not a show of hand, but I don't think I know personally enough about what that change would look like to say yes or no specifically, but if that's what the community unanimously wanted to do, then I don't see why we couldn't look into it. I think that means opting out of the Indian Act, right?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I just said I don't personally know enough about what that would look like to say yes or no either way, but I think if that was something that the community as a whole wanted and we discussed that as a whole, then I don't see why we wouldn't discuss that. That would be opting out of the Indian Act, right? Is that what you mean?
I still can't really hear you, I'm sorry. You're speaking louder into the mic.
I'm so sorry.
Is that what you would want for for a traditional government? That means we would opt out of the Indian Act, right?
Yes.
And your follow-up?
This is to you, Ardell. I was kind of curious, because you've been into politics for so long. What would it look like as a retirement for you? What would you look for in order for you to be able to retire and enjoy the rest of your life? Because you've been there for, I don't know how long.
32 years.
Exactly. Is that just chief? Or is that the whole business?
No, chief and 12 years as counselor.
Because I remember a time when you stood there and you were the only person that did not give up on our fishing and hunting rights, which was affecting me at the time. And I remember other counselors and people that had run for chief said that we should plan on the Better Neighbor Act, and that's how we should, and you went against that. Between you and Peggy Blair, I believe that we still have our fishing and hunting rights here. As saying that, what would you look for in a retirement?
Well, first of all, the chief and council don't have any benefits at all. Life insurance or pension fund or anything, so we have to save money for our retirement. Well, we have the responsibility for the oversight of government programs and services. Getting out of the Indian Act is a double-edged sword because it's one of the places in legislation that your tax exemption right is recognized in law. it's one of the places where the minister has a fiduciary responsibility to provide programs and services that so many benefit from in the law.
I'm sorry, but I wasn't asking you about that question. I was asking the councilors and the candidates.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm
I was
sorry.
asking you about your retirement, what you would look for.
Well, like anybody else, I guess we look for having saved enough income so that we can live a comfortable life. You know, we're going to have more needs as we get older. Our mobility is not going to be the same. We'll probably have sometimes medications we might have to take that are not covered. We might have to pay a portion of, but so just to have a comfortable life.
So I would like to reframe the question, if I may.
And mortgage free.
I think it's along the same veins, but I think what he is asking is, what would it take for you to say, I have done a great job and I'm comfortable passing the torch to someone else? When would you feel like you have done?
Actually, this election, I didn't ask anybody to nominate me. I said, I'm just going to let the people decide if they want me to run. And so I would like to thank Edward Gallant and Chris Miracle, who would second my nomination, and also Donna Loft and Joy Brandt and Barbara Caverhill, and I think there was one other that said they were coming to nominate, but the three of them did show up and they found out it was already nominated. So I thanked them for that, and a lot of the people said, you have to run. So I'll do it another term, but I'm getting older now, and some younger people, and I had hoped that somebody on council would go with me and learn how lobby is done and be faithful to the leadership role that they signed up for, to see how it's done, how to prepare themselves for effective lobby and effective outcomes that will make the difference. Because at the end of the day, you can have all the dreams and visions you want, but if you don't have the money to implement, you're not going to get far. And right now, we get money from the government. You know, when the people say, well, all come from the business, well, some of the people don't want to pay their water bill. And to believe that, you know, $100 million is going to come from there, I think it's a little bit unrealistic thinking. And people value these programs and services because and I don't want to do something foolish and then those services that they depend on are not there anymore because the government is trying to escape its responsibility. They want us to do that so they can wash their hands of us once and for all. Because that still is the government's agenda.
Nyawa.
And I just wanted to clarify, there was 3 of you that were up for the traditional government? 4? Okay, thank you.
Nyawa.
This question's for Sarah. How about the community sports facility, dear? What do you think about that?
Thank you. Thank you for your question. So from what I understand, your question is my thoughts on the recreational facility. So I believe that we're at an important juncture right now in the community. And we talk about the community survey that I saw about the Culbertson track really prioritized health. In our communities, we have to be proactive in health rather than reactive. Rather than when we're getting sick, then we react to it. We're going to do with medicine, this and that. By being proactive, if we have a facility here that's going to promote youth from a young age, get them off the screens, get them active, really invest in our lacrosse system, which is growing now. And my little one played this year, and it was just a wonderful. It was a wonderful part to be a part of that. To try and see the kids and see how well they work together and the pride in bringing that back to the community. So I think that us as a community, it's important to support that. And with having a facility, having a place where we can host other communities that can come and play lacrosse and bring that also economic opportunity into our community as well. And that also, I wanted to also, for Chief Miracle, I'm a registered lobbyist on the Hill, so I know what it takes to lobby the government. And so it's important that we do have those funds to build our facility, but I believe that every year we see the budget is getting lower and lower in the transfers to our First Nation communities. So until we become self-sufficient and we're able to build these facilities, not only from government funds, but from things that we can do ourselves and sustainable within the community. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello. This question's for Chris Miracle. You were talking about affordable land and everything for people in the community, but there's a rumor going around that you sold Ian Weed's property before the raise to expand his farm. Is that true? That just want clarification.
Yep. So because I'm on council, I believe we're held to a higher level. A private individual could say, I worked real hard for 45, 50 years, weekends, evenings. When my friends were going to the club, I went Saturday night to the factory. And I worked 7 days a week for little years. And at 21 years old, I bought lots of land. I'm 66. I decided to start selling my land to retire. I was introduced to Ian Weed about 3 years ago. I didn't even know him. Hi, is that a real name? I found he was a community member. And at the time, there was 3 years ago, there was no weed plants down there. And he was talking about food security and hydroponics and such. And I said, okay, fine. It took about 2 years to get the survey. And by then, then the crap hit the fan with this stuff. I'd already made a deal. I shook his hand. And I sold the land for $18,000 an acre. $18,000 an acre when people are talking about millions of dollars for land. I sold it for 18. And guess what? I found out it had a water line and it got a road into it. But I sold it for 18. You know why? Because I declared a conflict of interest. I removed myself from the council chambers. I knew none of this. So I sold some land for $18,000 an acre to my neighbor who was talking about farming, and I was selling my land to downsize. It's that simple. Yeah, I heard $5 million, but I got $18,000 an acre. Your council's paying $100,000 an acre for Culbertson lands, and that's okay. But I can't sell my land I worked hard for 18. So anyways, I wanted to answer that. I hope it's gone to bed, but that's the honest to God truth. I hope I answered your question. Yeah, and you deserve to know. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad we've addressed that. Thank you.
Everybody made a big deal about all the outsiders coming on the territory. What about the businesses that belong to outsiders? Asphalt plant's one of them that's poisoning our people up there. There's a restaurant right directly in front of that place. All that stuff blows in, lands on people's food. They're eating this stuff. I'd like to know if anybody's concerned about that asphalt plant.
Go ahead.
Okay. That's the pen. Thank you, Chief. Yeah, so, land. The issue of land and the industrial lots. I spoke to that earlier. And there should be a forensic audit or an investigation into the sale of your industrial lands. It costs millions of dollars to develop them. We passed a motion to increase the price significantly from 25, and the next meeting it was dropped way down. You should be asking, where'd that land go? Who owns all those industrial lots? You talk about transparency and accountability? Ask some serious questions. Where's that land? How much did it sell for? How many millions to develop more lots? And where are they going to go? Who? Anybody else get a chance to buy that land? That's what they said. You're all going to get a chance. The whole area. We don't know. I don't know if there's going to be a nuclear waste transfer site set up with these recent sales. Because once upon a time, you had to come to the office, sit down with ActDev. What do you plan on doing with that land? How many jobs are you going to create? What's going to happen here? Now it's just...
But the problem is it's non-native domain. We have people building houses on the territory that are non-native.
Well, you need a residency bylaw.
42% of the people that work at the band office are non-native. We have 2 Paki's working there.
Well, I said get back to the basics.
I would
Hire
ask
Mohawks.
that we
Hire qualified
please
Mohawks.
be respectful. I would ask
I'm only one person,
that
and
we
I said all along,
please
hire qualified
be
Mohawks.
Respectful.
We spent millions and millions over 30, 40 years getting everybody MBA, PhD, lawyers. And yeah. And we used to train a lot. And yeah, we still train, but I got to be careful what I say. I've got an army of lawyers breathing down on me.
Now, Chris, I'm going to invite Chris up, please. Yeah.
I thought this was about asphalt plant. That's all right.
1 minute.
I personally, I know about the Fitzgibbon I've never personally looked into it. You're coming here with a complaint? Oh, we'll look into it. That's all I can say. I haven't looked into it. I know it was Fitzgibbon with Bildall. It's just like a lot of the different places, like everything outdoors is owned by Ben Harvey up in Belleville. But because of Matt Weldon owns the building, he, in a sense, owns the business, which we all know he doesn't. So I mentioned this 2 years ago when I was running for council. I wanted to look into all of these non-native businesses here on the reserve. And like the chief had mentioned about doing a residency bylaw, we did talk about it. We've talked about a few different things which, in full honesty, not just transparency, honesty, sometimes we can't say anything about it for legal reasons. You got to understand. I would love to tell you a whole bunch of things, but I can't, because it might get the band, the people, in trouble by having to go to court and paying out hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay? The industrial area, Chris had made a motion about upping the prices, and in full honesty and transparency, is because Bildall wants to buy money, but wants to buy a bunch of land. And Bildall's got the money for it, but that wasn't fair to everybody else. So we dropped the price down. So how much did the Glory pay for that land up there? He bought that land before any motions were passed.
And time is up, and Miss Carleen would like to speak.
I definitely want to talk, Russ, your issue. You asked about the asphalt plant. Okay. My family has been in, we first brought it up in 2009. It is now 2025. It is in the court still. It is an open case, and it has to do with, it started with the quarrying. Why? Because the Culberson track, that's why people went over there, because there was a quarry. We live on Bellside Road. There was a quarry actually back on the slash around the corner from Bell's. Okay, 600 feet from our house, it started to be another quarry. Right when we heard the first blast, we went to investigate to see what was that. Okay, now, eventually what happened, Bildall Quarry did stop blasting, but there's nothing left there really. And then another quarry, used to be Ross Miracle, respectfully was an awesome person, and I respected him, has been taken over by his family. The asphalt plant in Shannonville, probably about 7, 8 years ago, we got people come to us and wanted to know what to do. You could actually see blue, and you could smell what was coming from that asphalt plant. So businesses here, there needs to be some regulations and something, accountability for what you're doing to our people's health.
Yeah, well. Chief, I'm going to ask you to keep your answer to 1 minute, only because we do have one more question, and I need to respect and honor the questions that were submitted online.
The question was about the asphalt plant. There was a complaint, and I did go up and personally view it myself. There was a lot of this black smoke rolling over on the ground over toward the Shannonville gravel. So we needed an expert, because we're not scientists or we're not medical officers of health to understand the impact. We need qualified people who can make a report. And so we asked the Ministry of the Environment to come in and inspect. And they were given an order that the smokestack of that asphalt plant had to be extended higher, so that the smoke from that plant, when they fired up, wouldn't be rolling on the ground over toward people's houses. But there are times that the council needs professional advice, because we do not have that advice in-house. The problem, and that would fall under our environmental bylaw. And with the quarry issue and that as well, the police did look into it. The Crown Attorney would not prosecute, because they said that they didn't have the mandate to prosecute these laws. There was an environmental bylaw in 1979 passed by the council that would address that kind of thing, but there has to be a prosecutor. There has to be a court, otherwise they're just words on paper. And George, you'll recall that's what the Crown Attorney said with the quarry issue.
If you would
and we
like
have
to step up
addressed
to
that
the mic,
with
it's
the
your turn.
government as well in our lobby sessions.
Thank you. No, thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name's Kaya Miracle, and I have a question for anyone on council that's willing to answer it. Back to, we talked about the youth a little bit. So many youth from our territory are succeeding on the world stage, from athletes like those of us who have represented the Haudenosaunee Nationals to artists and musicians like Noel Miracle and O Green. And I'm wondering, beyond posting congratulations on Facebook, what concrete steps will you take to consistently support and uplift our aspiring youth in sports, arts, and education in ways that maybe go beyond financial aid and actually helping them grow, access opportunities, and feel backed up by their community leadership? Thank you.
For those candidates wishing to respond to this, I'm going to ask that it be kept to 1 minute. Beyond a Facebook post, what steps would you like to take to honor and celebrate our youth, artists, athletes, academics, and otherwise?
Thank you. Thank you for your question, and it's important. I think sometimes we get wrapped up in negative issues and reacting to things that may bring us down as a community, but you raise an important point, and I hear you when you say we have a lot of talent and we have a lot of youth and even older people from the community that are doing great things that need to be celebrated. And I understand too, because maybe some of the frustration is that there's a Facebook post, and then if our community page puts 30 posts a day, then it gets buried. So I think it would be a wonderful opportunity, which I've seen it happen in other communities, where once a year you have a celebration and the community comes out and they celebrate all of the achievements in our communities. And who's to say that somebody going to the Olympics, that's amazing and that's important, but also what about we have people who've been struggling and now they're sober for a year. We've had people who were returning back to school and now they got a certificate. And so it's important to celebrate, recognize, and lift each other up in a positive way through a community celebration. I would like to see that. Thank you.
Yeah. Chris?
Oh, it seems like I'm up here all the time. Anyway. We got to recognize each other all the time. As I had stated when my time was up a little bit earlier, is that as a youngster driving down the road with Dad, and somebody was working on their house, he would pull in there and say, let's give these guys a hand because we're not doing anything. And we'd sit there for an hour, a couple hours, helping that person with their house, as a community would. Today's day and age, it's all me, I. Nobody helps each other anymore. We can help those people, okay? Not blowing my own horn or anything. I play in the NHL. I went to the highest league in hockey, and I can't even, they invite outsiders to perform hockey schools, and they don't invite me or Norm Miracle that has a Stanley Cup. Why? Because we're not a community anymore. We got to start becoming a community once again.
Yeah, well.
One of the elders told me community means come in unity. It's time that we start to come in unity as a people. We have musicians, we have artists here. They know how to promote their businesses, their skills, whatever their talents. So why we have all these buildings that sit empty day after day? Why can't we bring our upcoming young people here and expose them to all communities? We have almost 11,000 members. That's a lot of people that young people could be exposed to and maybe get where they need to go. Thank you.
Did you have a follow-up?
Sorry, just a quick one. I think similar to what everybody has been saying, is to recognize these people that we have in our community, recognize what they've done, but if we're going past like monetary and Facebook, is to actually utilize them in the community, to utilize them at our programmings and events. We have huge members of government that come here, and all different organizations from neighboring communities, and Chief travels everywhere. Just utilizing the people that we have and giving them that opportunity and that space, and maybe allowing them to get their name out that way.
Yeah, well. You may go.
Okay. Most governments have an awards program where they have an awards night usually once a year, and they give people a plaque and maybe a small donation of sign, but they give them recognition. And so I would ask maybe the TCDF or a committee to be struck to develop an awards program, and that people from the community can nominate people that they feel are deserving an award. And maybe in the youth category, people that do outstanding volunteer work for other people, or an elders award. But there can be different categories, because I sit for on a committee with Dr. Staney Brown from the Dalalama School of Public Health. And on Tuesday night, we'll be giving out an award for the people that have done the most work in improving the quality of health services, health systems. And so that will be happening on Tuesday. Usually have an elder come, they might have a meal, they might just have refreshments, but they have an awards night where people are recognized. They invite their families and they get publicity. And like, we need to do that, because so much of what's crippled our people is jealousy of each other, and not wanting to recognize the other people that do good. And that's what cripples our people, is jealousy. If people do good work, honor them. Thank you.
Yeah, well. Now, I do have several questions from our online viewers that were pre-submitted. However, we did have one gentleman who had stood up to ask a question and has sat down twice. Would you like to ask your question before I move to online?
Sort of a two-part question. It's the elephant in the room with the cannabis raids. I know there's several members that agree and oppose to things with happening. I was just wondering if Chief, Chris, and maybe another candidate would like to let us know what's happening with everything going on in the community, with the outside entities that are coming in, and I mean the OPP, and what is the difference between somebody that is growing a agricultural farm and hiring outside workers? Is the difference between another company or gas station or any other hiring somebody from outside the community? I would just like to know that. And Mr. Miracle, Chris, I know the question would, but I don't think it was like, nobody cares about how you sold that's your land, and you could sell it however you want, just like anybody else in this community has. But yeah, I'd just like to know, like, what the community stance is on what's the ongoing operations and for future.
Now, out of respect for what a broad topic this is, I'm going to encourage Chris and Chief to answer. You will have your 2 minutes, and then we will do our online and pre-submitted questions and allow people to do their closing. And then I am quite happy to continue longer if those present would like to stay and have a bit more of a discussion with any of the other candidates who would like to step forward.
I know me and Chris have had some discussions online, and he's fairly against everything that I'm about to say. So I was wondering if there would be another counselor that would be able to step up and say something.
Oh, so I can't speak?
No, you can.
Oh, okay, thanks.
You can,
Yep.
100%.
I was just wondering while I was up
I
here.
was just wondering.
Yeah.
She said
Yeah.
you and Chief, and I was just wondering if there was another counselor.
Oh, you
There
meant
was-
Chris Merkel, when you said Chris and Chief.
No, I was saying Chris, the question that was derived to
Oh.
Chris, that is, what
Oh, right.
people
Oh,
sell
okay.
their
Well,
land
I
for
can sit
has
down.
nothing, and it doesn't matter who you sell your land for, because a lot of people.
So Chris, Chief, and one other candidate. Who else would like to speak?
But I was wondering if Chris, another counselor, may speak on the agenda as well.
Chris, one other counselor, and Chief.
That Chris?
I see Chris, and Chief.
Okay.
Go ahead. Chris 1, Chris 2, and Chief. Go ahead.
Me and you have had discussions about that, and I know
Oh,
you're.
so you want to hear from?
Yes,
No,
however-
I want to hear from you.
Okay.
I want to hear from
Okay,
Chris.
it'll be
and
short.
Chief.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
Chief.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we've
There
had
we go.
discussions online before, and, but the way I look at it is when the community comes with hundreds of signatures asking for it to be stopped, and to do what it takes to stop it, okay? In the Indian Act, TPS can invite those non-native police forces in to do the job. If they go in by themselves and there's injuries, we don't want that, because our police force is our people also. So,
May I ask another thing? You had told me that there was an outside group, as many of you know, my family is involved, but there was an outside group that kind of came from Toronto to clean everybody's stuff, and you told me that was false.
what I should have told you is that it's not council direction. Excuse me, it's not council direction. It is the council give the okay to the police force to do their job, to do what it took, to do everything. And if it was the cleanup, then that's on behalf of the police force, not the council.
So the police force came, when I watched when they left, they came in vehicles and they left and they had.
My time's up. You're talking too much and I couldn't answer you, I'm sorry. So, you just took my time away by keeping on, so go ahead.
In all honesty, I'm a bit confused because a few years back, we had plebiscites. We come together and we have a vote and everybody has a say. And nothing was happening. And it went crazy, like way out of control. I don't know if there's an appetite in this community for a very, very limited production. And if it does happen, it's going to have tight controls. I don't know. But that's what the community decide, not chief and council. And I'm not going to comment on policing operations. It compromises safety, et cetera, et cetera. And this all went down long before I got on council, okay? And when I got on council, I have never once, when the police say, this guy's an undesirable, that's undesirable, I want to go, why he? You're gone. Blink of an eye. If you're an undesirable, non-native, you're out of here. And anybody on council the last 4 years, we haven't blinked. So these folks, if they're deemed undesirables, get them the heck out. But we need a bylaw, residency bylaw. The police can't do it without us. They've asked us.
Yawa and Chief.
So when the police bring a matter to council and tell us that there's organized crime involved profiting from exploiting our community, what are we supposed to do? Just look the other way and say that's okay, do it all the more, bringing more people in that shouldn't be here? This is Mohawk territory, and it's for our people. This is our people's home, and that's who has the right to live here, not anybody who wants to land here that doesn't belong here. And so to me, there's a lot of issues that will probably come out when by the police in the court. I don't know what that information is, but if they say we need to be concerned about organized crime taking over our community, I have to listen to that. I don't know what that is or who it is or what it is. But is this something that the majority of the people here would support? And I don't think they would. At Akwesasne, they have a Health Canada license. Louis Mitchell, the former police chief, has a Health Canada license to grow pot. It's all health inspected. There are not rats running around and stuff that people are going to consume. And I saw a rat at one of the places that the police took us to. There has to be health inspections for anything that people are going to consume. I think that's lacking. There they have to take their product to an accredited lab so that what goes in the market, it's not going to make people sick. Again, all this stuff is unknown to us, but the police did bring the concern, and the council passed a resolution to support that they could have whatever help they need to do this. And it was the will of the people that has been stated. The people decide what they want here, what they don't, and the council has a duty to listen to them.
Nyawa. So because your question was a two-part question to begin with, and we want to honor the online before they have to log off, I'm going to move forward, and then if you would like to come back to it after, I'm happy to do so. So I'm going to preface this and give everybody a little bit of a time to breathe, because there's been quite a lot of really great discussions tonight and excellent questions. And there are a lot of people who have been very affected by the different things that have been happening in this community. And I think that this does merit further community meetings and more questions. That being said, there are also questions that were submitted online that are perhaps not meant for this forum, but that I want to put out to current chief and council and any of the councillors who are coming on. These are not for answering tonight, but for your consideration. So some of these questions that were submitted. Will there be an update to the code of conduct for councillors? Can we as a community know what the rules are around councillors attending meetings? And the asker asked, why are councillors allowed to miss so many meetings? Will policy and committees of council be posted publicly? And if they're not posted, where can we get them? Why has this not been done yet? Where is our economic development strategy and plan? What is the plan for our infrastructure for 5, 10, and 20 years? And where can we find this? We see posts about the purchase of an arena, but what about housing or childcare, or the issue of land wealth accumulation to small groups of people and monopolizing? These are all questions that are not necessarily answerable from your platforms. But I do encourage, and I will make sure that these are submitted to Chief and Council to be considered for answering and posting. The questions that were submitted beforehand, there are 2. The first one I'm going to ask that we keep the answers to a minute, because you shouldn't need too far more. This question is for current councillors. What tangible progress, results, or benefits have you made for our community in your last term? Any current councillors or chief? What tangible progress, results, or benefits have you made for our community in your last term?
Who do you want to go first?
You can.
Okay. I'll go first. I chaired the Chiefs Committee on, I was part of the Chiefs Committee on Energy, and we got the energy credit off your hydro bill. And sometimes we have to fight the government to keep that. And we do. The long-term care facility is now being built. It's an $83 million project. $80 million of that is cooperation between federal and provincial funding, which was never happened before. Licensing became available from the province of Ontario. I chaired that committee with the Deputy Minister of the Ministry of Long-Term Care and Health, and it resulted in an opportunity for not only us but other people. I advocated for water. There was $30 million under the DMAF program of Infrastructure Canada. We lobbied to get the fire hall, $4 million reimbursed. We had a number of deficits covered. In this term, we brought in more than $30 million. If you add the long-term care, that's over $100 million just this term. Because we went and we lobbied. We have to do that. And Jordan's principle, on October 27th, we got a response through our lobby. $679,000 will be reimbursed, and $279,000 outstanding will go to the National Review Committee to address the needs of our children.
Yeah, well.
And we're pushing to get the Turton Pen $140 million.
Yeah. Are there any other current councillors who would like to speak to what have you done in your last term?
Okay, so this kind of feels like difficult to just say that you did it by yourself, because we very much don't do anything by ourselves as councillor. It's hand in hand with the staff who are working every day and the organizations that we all work with on the community or in the community. It's definitely nothing that we've done purely on our own. The parent-teacher council pick committee with Kalina and the staff at Quinte Mohawk School is up and running now, so that's a huge step forward to have some parent involvement with the school. We have the lacrosse committee developing the lacrosse box. We have, oh my gosh, now I'm drawing a blank. A couple of more committees that we've got going, but I just wanted to say that it really does come down to the relationships that we have with the staff. They are integral in getting things moving, and without them, we wouldn't be able to do anything.
Nyawa. Chris.
Like Aaron had started to mention, is that the arena. We have a committee that's been going. I see somebody post online that they would ensure that the arena gets happened, but we've been working on it for the last couple months now. There is an arena committee, and they've been actively in meetings once every 3 weeks or so. And Band Council has given the arena property across from the long-term elders care in those fields back and behind. There's all the studies that are doing to have the arena. And what it's going to be isn't an ice rink, because I personally know that ice rinks lose money. So what we're going to do is, I would like to see a high-performance, high-end lacrosse arena built, and maybe even bring in a professional team of our own people here. Things like Aaron had started to mention about time's up.
I just have to say that I truly respect Chris and how he is so on for watching for the time.
I was just going to say the Police Services Board, the creation of that and the development of that, and the Economic Development Committee, which is in the process of being up and running as well, are some things that this council has been working on.
That's what I was going to say.
Lovely. Any other current councillors?
Yeah, and some of the other things that I've been working on is I sit on the AFLDC board, where we work on to keeping the skills and trades here to get our young people and people to be retrained and back out in the workforce. I also sit on the HASA board, which is the Health and Safety Advisory Board, where we're looking on our, having our own child reform here. We also sit on, and I go with it, and I do have that. I had the opportunity to go with the chief to do some lobby meetings to be able to get that money back to the community.
I'm in a very unfortunate, unique position in that most of the things at council I can't get through, and unfortunately I'm stuck in like an opposition mode. So I like to say I was instrumental in having 2 police officers from our community recently hired, and that took a bit of work. I won't get into much more than that, but that was good. Our police commission's finally been running. We've got some incredible people in charge of that. Good stuff. But unfortunately, I spend most of my time calling out the BS. And I do that because we're never going to fly with the eagles. We're never going to attract millions of dollars in investment if we've got to clean our house up a little bit more. We have to fix a few things because there's some broken things. And I'll put it in my platform. I won't go into much tonight, but there's some pretty significant things going on as we speak. And that's why I said about this being the most consequential election in history. But yeah, I pushed for the splash pad to be done. I pushed for the beach volleyball to be done. But unfortunately, they were years behind and way, way over budget. But we got to fix the small things before we do the big things. And there's a lot of things to be fixed, and a lot of things you don't know and you're not being told.
Nyawa, are there any other current councillors who would like to speak? Chip?
In the past 2 years, I've enjoyed working for you guys, and I've been following this man around here with the lobbying, trying to learn as much as I can from him about how it's done, and I've done that for the last 2 years, and like I said, I've really enjoyed it. And in my portfolio of the infrastructure, we're opening up the other 4 roads, so people that have a vision of building their houses need to have a place. So these roads are being opened, and I think they're looking pretty good. So, and they got clean drinking water. So, and we're still working on trying to get the rest of the water to everybody else. So it takes time, but we're trying. Thank you.
Nyawa.
In the last 2 years, there's been, 12 units pre-built, or built in the North Street flats. 9 of them are in construction. So on the North Street subdivision, there was, I believe it was 12 units that are built or almost complete, waiting on utility connections. There are another 14. There's another 9 that are in the excavation phase. There's also 5 new homes between on Upper Slash, 2 on Norways. So this council has brought in a lot of new housing for the community.
Nyawa. And the last online, and then we will move to our closing. Again, I would ask that we keep our answers brief because we do want to move through everybody's closing statements. Those people who are running for council who are business owners, so this is specifically only for business owners. If you are running for council and you are elected, will you divest yourself from your business for your term in office? And if not, what is your plan for accountability? Further, if a business owner and an employee are both elected, what is your accountability process or plan?
Me again. as I'm up here all the time. I'm a business owner. Myself and Brenda, we have a business of fishing charters, and that doesn't take away from council, because when there is council, there is no fishing charter. The council comes first. The fishing charter and the business is just something we do on the side, okay? As far as work is concerned, I get up at 2 o'clock in the morning, I go to work, I do the work I have to, and I go and sit in council all day until 5 o'clock. Sometimes council, local council comes after regular council, and I'm there until like 9 o'clock, from 2 o'clock in the morning. And then I will get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and go to work again. That's how committed I have been over the last 2 years. And I only know about this much to what the chief knows about sitting on council, about this and that. And you're learning something new every single day. But by being in there, it's not for me. I don't do it for me. I go in there on your behalf.
Niawa.
So in order not to work, do they get paid so well to be in council that they don't have to work?
I believe that's a fair question.
Okay, so that's kind of sort of a dumb question, isn't it?
I would like to remind everyone here that I am just asking the question. I didn't make it up. However, I will let Chief speak quickly to that, and then Curtis was standing.
So the chief and council get a weekly honorarium, which is the same. They get it whether they attend or not.
Me, I am very active in my business. I work my business from 9 to 3, but as for council, I will step away and take the council on if elected. I do look at my store as a place where people do come and visit quite a bit. We discuss politics, discuss, you know, things in the community, things we'd like to do outside of council as, you know, helping elders, helping with snow removal, with funeral stuff, fires. There's a lot of stuff we discuss like that. So yeah, I would step down as to help out in the community with council. Thank you.
Nyawa. More business.
I can address this. Thank you. Thank you for the online question. So as I mentioned before, I own a consulting business, and I've worked my whole life to build that company from nothing. I've invested time away from my family, invested in my education, everything to build that company that I built from nothing. And I employ 6 associates across the country. So it would be giving up a part of my heart and myself and divesting that business. And I really feel like what I've learned from there and the skills that I've acquired there, I can bring and they will be an asset to council. So thank you.
Yeah. Are there any others who wish to speak?
As an employee working for Mohawk Family Services, I will be stepping down from my position, so I will be resigning if I'm elected. I guess I'll be retiring.
Meow.
I don't know because I've never been ran for council before, but I'm an employee of MBQ with Gouacherie. Now, I heard that if I'm elected, that I would have to give up my job, okay? I love my job, but I have actually learned a lot in my life, so therefore I believe I can make a contribution as a councillor. And so be it if I have to step down from all these little arms that I love every day that they hug you tight, those little ones, I'll have to do that because you know what? The community is where I belong, where I have always been.
Yeah. Well. And with that, I would like to move into our closings. So we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up to the top. I would like to remind candidates you have 1 minute. Chris Brandt. You were 13, remember?
I thought it was 31.
Are lucky.
What else is there to say? I mean, if you know my dad, you know me. My word, and for those that have come to my house to see me, or I've actually gone to your house to see you because you give me a call and say, hey, could you come over? I do. So I don't have any, no real platform. I'm not standing up here, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's what you guys want. And I'll be your spokesperson on council. That's it.
Yeah, well. Will Fisher?
For my closing remarks, I would just like to say, if elected, I would always have an open door policy. I know personally through experience that these guys aren't always accessible unless you know them personally. So I would just like to say, anybody, like, I'm an open book. I'll tell you whatever you want to know. I'm reachable many ways. You can contact me. I will try to help you with your problems. Yeah.
Nyawa. Curtis Brandt.
Again, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. I am seeking your support, again, for try another term. But I'd also like to thank Kalina and our staff for doing a good job tonight, and take care. Thank you.
Nyawa. Lou.
The Creator gave us 2 ears, 2 eyes, 1 mouth. And I think if I'm elected, I can hear double, see double, and speak less. Thank you.
Nyawa. Miss Carlene. Yes.
Okay, all I can say is I'll do my best, and thank you everyone who came tonight to hear what the candidates are saying and what they are wanting to do for the community. I spoke with one senior in our community today, and it was really funny. She said something about, oh, you would not believe the parents and grandparents and family that do not come to support these young people at things. Well, you know what? I'm a firm believer, and I appreciated that someone mentioned the artist, upcoming individuals making something of their life. You know what? We need to start when they're little when they're tiny people. You build them up, you support them, you make them confident, and you know what? Our community will go a long way together.
Yeah. Aaron.
I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I think it's really important that so many community members came this time around. If anything, it shows that you guys care, that you care as much as we do. Even if we don't agree on things all the time, I think it's important that you've all shown up and have your voices heard, and that there's room at this table for everybody. So Nyawa, thank you so much. Thank you, Kalina, and all the staff for making this such a great night.
Nyawa. Miss Linda.
And I too would like to thank everybody for coming out, because it's always such a great pleasure when I see this many faces in one spot. And just vote with your hearts. You know who's worked for you and who hasn't. So vote with your heart, and I just leave it up to you. And I thank each and every one of you, because I appreciate everybody here today. Thank you.
Nyawa. Curtis.
I'd just like to thank everyone for coming out. I was a little nervous in the beginning there. I'm starting to come a little more comfortable. But yeah, if my door's always open, if you'd like to stop in for a coffee at the shop and play a game of crib, maybe discuss things a little more, I'm open for that. Yeah, and just use your heart and just know that we need the community to come together more than ever now than we've ever have, and we need to make decisions as a community here on out and in the future. Thank you.
Nyawa. Chris? Yes, you, Chris Miracle.
There are so many wants and needs in our community. That's why I say a significant focus upon economic development must be our goal. Absolutely hold the government accountable to their obligations, but also plan for the unforeseen. The government doesn't believe for 1 minute that we have inherent rights. They simply view funding as good social policy. We need to prepare. We need to chart our own future. Let's get ready.
Nyawa. Paul?
I would like to thank everybody as well for showing up and the stuff I've learned here tonight and experience. I'm a very quiet person, but I listen. And I want you all to know that if it comes time to be elected, I'd be happy to work with any of these people here because I think they all got something to share. So thank you very much.
Nyawa. Sherry, I'm reading from my own list this time. Sherry.
I'm the same as Chris, Brent. You know, I'm here for the people. I'm not here to make promises that I can't keep. I'm going to have an open door. You want to come visit, you want to talk, I'm going to be there. Vote with your hearts, and thank you for coming out and listening.
Nyawa. Sarah?
So I extend my thanks to and gratitude to everybody who took time out of their schedule to be here and meet and listen to what we had to say. Thank you to everybody online. And most of all, good luck to everybody. I commend everybody who's putting their name forward. It takes a lot, and you wouldn't be here if you didn't care. So I wish you all luck. So once again, I ask for your vote and confidence in me. I ask for your vote. And once again, I'll reiterate that my commitment to you is leadership that listens, leadership that includes, and leadership that stands up for our people. Yamako.
Nyawa. Ogwari?
Just like everybody else, thank you to everybody that's here and online. I guess the only thing I can say is I want to work towards more housing for our people. There is a need in our community, and I believe we should be able to fix it, I guess, in one way or another. And I also want to ensure that we get this standalone police force in effect. Thank you.
Nyawa. Andrew? Yes.
There's a lot of questions that I've been asked that I haven't been able to answer. So I'd like to ask them tonight. I had a piece of land in Deserano that I got from Danny Tompkins. It was 20 acres and it was $30,000. Last year it was appraised at $60,000. And my good friend Ash Shan Bash, if you look at the Strathcona Arena now, it's called the Bash Arena. That's my friend. He wanted to build homes for the Mohawk people. And he had a piece of land in Deserano, this 20 acres that I had. And the chief bought it for $1,445,000 with your money, with no permission. Where did he get it? He bought a golf course in Marysville without your permission, without your knowledge. Where did he get the money? And not only that, they're paying taxes on it that belongs to us. You know, I know my time is up, but I'd like these questions answered so I can tell the people.
No, thank you. Chief?
Well, I'd like to correct my colleague. I don't have the authority to buy anything. It's the council that passes a resolution to do that. And the government is considering reimbursing us all those costs. We've submitted our proposal at their request, and we will likely get reimbursed the money that plus loss of use to invest, like we did with Culberson. I will continue to work with the same tenacious determination to make things happen. One of my goals was to make sure everybody had safe drinking water. Today, there's 1,018 homes that have safe drinking water. We've got another 262 homes yet to service, and we're working on that. There's a lot of millions of dollars in land claims. If we advocate properly, I think we can make that happen. We've increased our land base with more acres. Foresters Island is coming back with the exception of one lot. The golf course is 185 acres. We get that, and it's creating jobs and it's making money. So is Belleville affordable housing. With land claims, they need a lawyer's advice, so we have to hire consultants. And oftentimes we're given money by the government for that purpose. It's called capacity.
Nyawa. And with that, we have come to the end of our 2025 Candidates Information Night. I want to say thank you very much to everyone who attended, to everyone who stayed, to everyone who signed on online, for caring so much about our community and for committing to come together. I am so incredibly proud to be a member of this community. And I am also incredibly proud of all of the candidates tonight who showed up and took your questions. I'd like to give them all a round of applause. And I'd like... Nyawa. Nyawa. And I'd like to say well wishes on the upcoming election. Again, I encourage you all of these people are very passionate. They wouldn't be here if they weren't. And they all have very detailed platforms. If you were not able to ask your question tonight, please reach out and talk to any of these people. I know that their hearts are big and their commitment is great. So again, Nyawagoa, have a great evening, and we'll see you at the polls.